Well, hello and welcome to this weekly roundup, Canadian Immigration Weekly Roundup. My name is Kubeir, in case you didn't already know that, and welcome to this channel. This is what we're going to be doing. So today we have a few things to talk about as well, in addition to the weekly roundup presentation that we do. So we will be talking about the draws. We will be talking about whatever has happened in the last week, what is there to look forward to. We will be talking about this big. It's not a big news or something. It was always on the horizon about this updated processing times, which is causing a bit of ripples for a lot of people. It's creating anxious and panic attacks as well for some people. We will also talk about the Canada again. Came to the fact that they announced that they will finalize 147,000 permanent resident people or applications, and they actually did. So we'll talk about that in a bit. And the fact that they also managed to finalize 108,000 people as permanent residents in first quarter. So we'll talk about all these things. And again, we'll also be talking about the visit visa applications and the number of rejections that are coming through. Starting with the quote of the week: learn to ask even when you feel weak. Learn to work even if you don't want to. Learn to hope even when the odds are against you. Such a wise quote by Maxime. I agree with this entirely. I mean, even when the chips are against you, when nothing is working for you, even then, if you just continue at it, things will usually turn out in your favor. That is what I have learned in my life, at least. Canadian Immigration Weekly Roundup. Stay up to date with us on the various platforms that we share information on: Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, of course, Facebook. We will be talking about the roundup for the month of March, because that was the month that is last passed. First quarter is over. In the month of March, Alberta released the results of two Alberta Advantage Immigration Program, the AAIP draws, totaling 700 invitations, which is pretty cool because they have again gone back to inviting people in big numbers as they would earlier do. But again, as we all know about Alberta, they don't really announce any specific criteria as to under which they are inviting people. They also, on the 4th of March, announced that they are putting some temporary measures in place to invite Ukrainians who are applying for the provincial or mini programs, and thankfully they would be given some additional advantage in terms of who will be picked, the faster processing times. They will waive off the service fee, and in some cases even accept incomplete applications. British Columbia invited 900 candidates to apply under the Express Entry BC programs and the Skills Immigration programs. And they further announced on 10th of March that they were taking steps to address the critical need for healthcare workers and early childhood educators by again making some changes and creating them on the priority list and inviting those occupations. Manitoba, in the last two general draws, they have invited a total of 311 candidates, and they have issued 76 of these to Express Entry profiles. They are also looking to introduce some special measures to assist the Ukrainian nationals to get their nominations processed faster. In March, Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program has issued a total of 2,430 invitations. There was no Rswp, Human Capital Priorities Draw. Was there? No, these were mainly the expressions of interest from the employer's job offer, foreign worker, international student stream, in-demand student skill stream, the master's, graduate, etc. Now, there was a draw in Ontario on the 30th where they invited people under the master's graduate stream. They invited under the employer job offer stream. This is basically for people who have created their expressions of interest. If your score was high enough, you would have received your invitation. The good thing is with Ontario, in the year 2022, already within the first quarter, first 3 months, the number of invitations to apply, ITAs get issued to people who have expressions of interest, basically who are in who are in Ontario and who have created their expressions of interest and who are basically eligible under the employer job offer streams, international graduate streams, or master's PhD stream. So far, in the first quarter, they have issued 3,952 ITAs, pretty cool. But the human capital priorities in the first quarter, first 3 months, they have issued 4,424 notifications of interest, which is also equally cool. Pretty awesome going with the Ontario on that one. Prince Edward Islands, we had the PNP draws. As we already discussed this before, they are pre-scheduled and they're held once every month. They held a draw on the 17th of March, inviting 141 candidates, of which 11 were from the business impact stream. Saskatchewan, they have been pretty slow starting this year. There is also a lot of talk that some of their invitations that they would have otherwise issued are being shifted away to their new stream that they had introduced earlier, which was hard to find skills pilot. They are also obviously now have to, from the available pool of quota, they also now have to assign some invitations or quotas to the new tech talent pathway that they have announced. So with these new you see, because what happens is with the province, they get one quota, right? So that the total quota is something that has been given to them, and then they have to use that quota to invite different people under different streams, whether that is OID stream, express entry stream, the job offer streams that they have. Then now they have this new tech talent pathway stream, and then obviously the hard to find skills pilot stream. And then they also have the business immigration stream as well. And then they have the farm workers stream as well. So there's a lot of streams, and the total quota has to be then distributed amongst all these streams. And therefore, whenever they introduce new streams, you will find that the regular, what you are used to seeing, the regular invitations, they might take a bit of a hit there. So that is also one of the reasons why we are not seeing a very big draw that would usually come out from Saskatchewan. So in March, they have invited a total of 143 candidates only in two different draws. In express entry, there was a draw, of course. 30th of March, 919 express entry candidates were invited to apply. As we have now grown accustomed to, these were candidates only under the PNP draw, and 785 was the lowest score that was invited to apply. So this basically means that these individuals have received nominations from different provinces, could be any province, they've received nomination, and that their account was linked to express entry, that stream was linked to express entry, based on which they have received 600 points, and therefore they were eligible for this express entry draw. IRCC has made it very, very clear that they will continue with the express entry draws for provincial nominee applicants who have received the 600 points, because that is the agreement that they have with the provinces, and therefore they will continue doing that. We will talk about the other things about the spring and the other draws, but just hold on for a bit. In other news, well, processing time update which happened, which has created a bit of would I say panic? Would I say anxiety? A lot of people are thinking so many different things as to what's going on. Why are the processing timings so? I mean, are you really surprised? Were you not already aware that the processing timings have gone up? I mean, were you really shocked to see 27 months processing times? Were you not already aware that this is what was happening? Now, some people are assuming, thinking, and expecting that this is the time that it will take for the applications that are new into the pool, number one, and number two, or the ones who are already into the pool. That is not true entirely. What exactly is happening? And let me take you to, yes, this was the, let me see if I can find, so I can make it a bit bigger. I can make it a bit bigger, yes. So what I have for you on the screen is your, yeah, I'm going to do that so it is easier. So what I have on the screen is the media release that IRCC released with regards to the new 108,000 permanent residents that were finalized in early 2022. So what I'm talking about is, if you remember, on the 31st of January, Sean Fraser had come out and made this media release, made a statement that they are looking to finalize 147,000 people within the first quarter as permanent residents under different immigration programs. Okay. There was obviously a bit of a doubt whether they would be able to complete that number or not. But thankfully they did. They actually did manage to achieve this target of 147,000 people. So obviously they had to make this media announcement that they have finalized 147,000 applications. Now, finalizing 147,000 applications is different than welcoming 108,000 people. So when they say welcomed, means these are the number of people. 108,000 were made permanent residents. They were finalized. They could have been inside Canada. They could have landed in Canada. Both options were fine. And the total of this was 108,000. But in the meantime, in the first quarter, they have also made a decision on 147,000 applications or people. We keep sort of mixing up that too, because here it says IRCC surpassed its goal to make 147,000 permanent residents final decisions in the first quarter. I'm going to talk. I mean, I'm going to take that as 147,000 people cannot be applications, because that will be too many. So they made a decision on 147,000 people to finalize their applications. And keep in mind, these are final decisions. This does not mean they were all approved. There are final decisions made, could have been this way or that way. And also, these could be spousal sponsorship applications. This could be economic immigration applications, economic programs. So all of this. But as when they made this announcement, and obviously they talked about different achievements of their numbers, they also then spoke about that. Where did I lose it? Hold on. This is what happens when you don't mark it out. In the same release, they have also talked about introducing the new. I have lost it. Boy. Okay, yes, we found it. And as we strive to reduce the application processing times, IRCC remains dedicated to provide meaningful, timely, and transparent information to its clients. So they want to make it transparent. Sometime a few weeks back, Sean Fraser had also mentioned that they would like to make their website more transparent, more accurate in terms of the processing timing, so that people can have a better understanding. Now, how do these processing timings work? First of all, they work on the basis of dynamic processing times. What does dynamic processing times? It basically means that they will take the data available to them for the last, in the case of temporary residence applications, visit visas, work permits, etc., it's 8 to 16 weeks. So the data that they have from the last 8 to 16 weeks, that the average of that 80% of those applications that were processed, that will be considered as their processing times moving forward, as to basically give an understanding of this was the historical trend. When it comes to the PR application, they will take data, and it says here most permanent resident applications will now be using dynamic processing times with updated calculations posted weekly. So you will be getting the updates weekly. So you'll be able to check the updates weekly based on data from the previous 6 months. Okay, so there you go. The data that you are now seeing, so now what you're seeing on the IRCC website in terms of the processing data or the time that it will take, is based on what was happening within the last 6 months. So within the last 6 months, if it had taken them nearly 24, 25, 26, 27 months to finalize an application processing, well, that is what is reflecting on the CIC website at this point of time. But we also know within the last 6 months, they have picked up pace. They were finalizing applications faster. Keep in mind, in 2021, majority of the applications that were finalized were basically CEC or inside Canada applicants. Very few number of people were processed who were outside Canada. Provincial nominee program applicants were getting processed, but the numbers are small. So therefore, what you are seeing as 27 months is reflecting that reality, that truth. This does not mean going forward, all applications will continue to be processed the 27-month deadline. Well, we did face a lot of frustration. We have seen a lot of anxiety. We have seen a lot of people getting very upset with the delays, which is quite normal, quite expected. I mean, IRCC over a period of last almost now 2.5 years had good amount of time to work a better system out. They obviously have not done a brilliant job of it. You know it, I know it, we all know it, and we keep talking about it, we keep tweeting about it, we keep sort of doing whatever we can. But at the end of the day, this is government machinery. There is a lot of red tape, there is a lot of bureaucracy involved, and these wheels turn or churn very slowly, unfortunately. But thankfully, now that we are seeing the processing timings improving, well, one of the biggest things that they do, and this was a very courageous thing to do, was to halt or pause or the express entry draws. Because of pausing those express entry draws, they were then able to continue clearing the inventory first, so that once they start taking on the new applications, they will be able to come back to the pre-pandemic levels, which are about 6 months on an average. So this is for you to be able to understand that the dynamic processing times for temporary residence applications are 8 to 16 weeks, and for the permanent residence applications are 6 months. So this is what they will be calculating. They will be taking the data from the last historical period available in, as I said, 8 to 16 weeks for TRVs and 6 months for the permanent residence applications. Moving forward, as IRCC has already announced that they have now, what have they done? They have added 500 new staff. They have got $85 million of extra infusion to assist with this processing of backlogs. All of this in combination will in time show you a better processing times. They have also come out and said that they are now achieving faster processing time for spousal sponsorship applications. But there is a bit of a caveat there, and the caveat is that the faster processing times, or rather the standard processing times of 12 months for spousal sponsorship applications is for the newer applications which are now being submitted, which were actually being submitted from towards the end of the last year onwards. Okay, so those applications are seeing faster processing times. The earlier ones, which were already in the backlog, they obviously will have to go through the grind. They are the unfortunate ones. They would have to sort of, it will take its own course of time till they see the processing finally, decisions finally being rendered in their applications. So it's not fair. I agree with. I agree with so many of you who might already be expectorating with this one, and I absolutely agree with the fact that this should have been handled in a better manner. But at the end of the day, it still boils down to the same thing, right? It is what it is. This is what we got, and all we can do is talk about it, comment about it, get upset about it, raise questions, raise it to IRCC whenever and in whichever platform that we can. But I'm sure they have their own set of challenges. I'm not going to defend them. It's not, I'm not in a position to defend them anyways. I'm sure they do a better job of having to say. But thankfully, at least with the new immigration minister, he's more vocal. He communicates. He at least comes out and tells us what's going on, what they're planning, what they're expecting. And based on that, we can sort of have less speculations and more informed, I wouldn't say speculations, but informed judgments or informed tweets to make to sort of that this is what will happen. But apart from that, they're doing whatever they can and in whatever aspect that they have said they are going to process. So they have added 500 people. They've infused $85 million. We are now seeing more and more applications being processed. Obviously, express entry is on pause so that they can complete at least a big chunk of their processing inventory before they can then start accepting applications. So this is the one that I wanted to talk to you about. And let me get back to this one. Okay, so IRCC's updates processing times at this point of time, rather, because it has just been updated, so it will only talk about the past trends. As we move forward, you will see these numbers reducing. You will see it become more, digestible, something which you can cut down on. At this point of time, obviously, the Canadian experience class is showing 7 months, which is honestly quite accurate. I have seen people receiving their applications being processed faster as well, but 7 months by and large is quite an average. FSW is 27 months, but also considering that FSW draws haven't held from December 2020. So, again, and for a big, huge period of time, there was an absolute pause on the processing of FSW applications. So again, this is understandable. Same thing with FST, Federal Skilled Trade categories. Express entry provincial nominee programs is showing 22 months. Again, this is also understandable because, as I said, there was a big pause once the COVID had hit. The pandemic was absolute on its peak, and they had almost put most of the applications on a total pause because of the travel restrictions. People couldn't come to Canada, so they were not processing those applications. Visa officers were pulled away from all the visa offices. There were hardly anybody in the visa post to handle the application. So with all those things that we have spoken so many times in the past, this is what was happening. As I said, and again, I'm saying that as we move forward week by week, so probably within the next 2 to 4 weeks, you will see the whole processing timings looking slightly better. And as we move forward, you will see them growing not growing, but basically falling down as we progress faster. So this is basically their processing timings. Family class at this point of time is showing 16 and 19 months. I have seen the faster ones. In my experience, for some of our clients, we have got inside Canada processed within 6 to 8 months. Outside Canada got processed between 8 to 12 months. So I know for a fact that they're processing these applications faster. Parents and grandparents is at 32 months, which is also realistic because this is what was happening pre-pandemic as well. It was actually 2 years pre-pandemic. After the pandemic had hit, it has gone up to 32 months. So this is what is happening there. Temporary residence applications, of course, visit visa applications, as we know that the new portal had been launched and they were processing them much, much faster. It was taking anywhere between few days to few weeks. But at this point of time, depending on which country you are applying for your visit visa application, it could take anywhere between 2 to 4 months of processing time at this point. Of course, there are applications which get processed faster. The biggest concern actually, and it is not reflected correctly over here, is the work permit applications. It's the work, work permit applications are the ones which are now facing the biggest, or rather the longest delays at this point of time. They are almost 1.5 years, 14, 16, 18 months, which is ridiculous, to be very honest. Work permit applications are much more simpler and they can do a much better job with them. There are nearly 100,000 applications in the backlog, and these are spouse open work permits, these are closed work permits, intra-company transfer work permits, under the global skills strategy work permits. All of them have been delayed really, really long. And I know the businesses are suffering in Canada. There are a lot of people who are putting pressure through the political channels as they can, but these are the ones which are really suffering at this point of time as well. Citizenship grants is coming to 27 months now. PR cards, a lot of you who are now becoming the new permanent residents of Canada, they will also, give you the same thing, that they have seen processing of PR cards from 3 weeks to almost 3 to 4 months. This is talking about 108 days. We hopefully will see a gradual decrease in those numbers as well. 108 days for the replacement and 103 for the new PR cards. Well, that's the processing times. As far as the travel updates are concerned, most of you are already aware now, as of 1st of April, fully vaccinated travelers do not need any kind of pre-departure COVID testing done. So you do not need any RT-PCR, you do not need any antigen, nothing is required to travel to Canada if you are fully vaccinated. Of course, there are the list of vaccines that have been approved by Canada. So if you have been administered with one, in the case of Janssen, and 2 in case of other approved vaccines, if you have been administered with those 2 vaccines, 2 doses of those vaccines, you would be considered fully vaccinated, and therefore you would not need to quarantine, or you would not need to take any pre-departure RT-PCR tests either. That's all basically I had for this particular section of our presentation. So please do connect with us on social media if you wish to, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, etc. And if you're still watching, then Hulk smash the like button so this video gets out to more people who might also be interested in the information we have been discussing about. Yes, of course, we will be taking the questions that you have been posting. Just hold them a little bit more because I have few other things to talk about. Now, one big one that I want to talk to you about is the visit visa rejections. Now, I know a lot of people have been submitting visit visa applications. A lot of you are also receiving refusals and rejections, sometimes for ridiculous reasons, sometimes for valid reasons, of course. Now, what are the conditions under which a visit visa may be processed in a positive manner? First of all is your past travel history. Past travel history is very, very important. So when you say past travel history, especially for people in the subcontinent, traveling to Bangkok, traveling to Dubai doesn't count as travel history. So by travel history, they basically are looking for countries where you may have had to provide some credible documents in order to obtain those visas. So UK, Australia, New Zealand, US, Schengen countries, these would be the visas that they would be looking for in order to establish credibility in sense. So what does past travel history does? So what does it do? I mean, past travel history establishes you as a genuine bona fide visitor who did comply with the law of the land, who did comply with the fact that they were able to come to Canada, sorry, not come to Canada, travel to that country and leave that country within the prescribed allowed legal period of stay. So that is where the past travel history or record makes a difference. Having said that, it does not mean that if you don't have past travel history, then your application will be refused. It's not entirely the mandatory requirement. It's not entirely the conclusive reason for your application assessment, but it is one of the biggest supporting factors. That's one. Number two is your financial stability. Now, with financial stability, I basically mean that what kind of finances are you providing in your application? If you're going to be showing, say, 2 lakh, 3 lakh, 4 lakh, 5 lakh rupees, then you have to keep in mind the cost of travel to Canada is expensive. The living cost, or the visiting cost in Canada is expensive. Even if you have somebody who's taking care of your expenses, even if you have provided a invitation letter from your sponsor, invitation letter from your family who said that they will take care of your expenses, in spite of that, if a person who's only making a salary of 20, 25, 30,000 rupees, but now wants to spend 2, 3, 4, 5 lakh rupees on a travel, it always is a bit of a flag. So obviously having decent financial stability is a big factor to show that you can actually afford to take that trip. And the idea here is that IRCC is looking at that. Are you looking at coming to Canada and staying here illegally and working in Canada illegally to support your expenses? That is what they're looking for. Okay, so if you have good finances to show, then obviously that will help. And third, and it's not the third, but one of the three main factors is your ties to home country. Now, your ties to home country would become the reasons which will pull you back to your home country, or the reasons that are compelling enough to take you back to your home country. So ongoing employment. Now, when I say ongoing employment, it basically means if you have been in an employment for the last 3, 4, 5, 6 months, that doesn't really help. But if you've been in employment for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, that makes a big difference. It shows that you stuck around in that employment, and then obviously you are going to go back and join back into that employment. So employment letter, a letter from your employer stating that you're going on leave, that usually helps. In addition to that, income tax returns, again, to substantiate your financial stability, as well as your employment proof, that also will help. Again, what you're drawing as salary from this employment also helps. If you are an ongoing business engagement, businesses helps. If you own property, real estate helps. If you are a retired individual, your pensions, that also helps. If you have ongoing voluntary engagements that are pretty crucial for you, critical for you, that also helps. All of this, explaining all of this will make a big difference in your application. Okay. Apart from that, in cases of visit visa applications, if you are going to say that you want to come to Canada for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, so you're mentioning in your application, I'm going to come to Canada, I want to live here for 3 months. Visa officer is going to wonder, why do you want to come to Canada for 3 months? And if you're going to come to Canada for 3 months, what's happening with your business, with your employment? Are you really getting a leave for 3 months? Can you really afford to leave your business for 3 months and you will not go back? And who's taking care of it? So these long periods of intended travel to Canada also is a bit of a concern. Ideally, if you're visiting a country, you will be going there for what? I don't know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5, 6 weeks at most. So keep your period of stay reasonable, which would be considered as reasonable period of stay. If you're going to be saying that I'm going to be coming to Canada for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, that is definitely a flag. So combination of all this is what will define or decide for you the decision for you, whether it's going to be positive or negative. If you have any negative factors, when I'm saying negative factor, means if you don't have travel history. So make sure you strengthen the other aspects of your application, especially the ties to home country. Now, new portal, old portal, we have discussed this before. New portal, we understand, or we assume, because there is no way of confirming that it is directly linked to the artificial intelligence that they are using at this point of time in order to identify certain criterias and applications based on which they will be able to make fast decisions. With the old portal, it's still a use of forms, which basically means they will have to manually update those informations. So the data scraping or the data mining has to happen in a different manner. It takes a little bit more time. Therefore, the processing timings are different. You're seeing the new portal having faster processing timing, older portal having slightly longer processing timings. One of the reasons is because of the data mining or data scraping, as I said. But having said that, because more information needs to be extracted from the forms in the old portal, the chances are the visa officer is going to pay little more attention to your application from the old portal versus the new portal. In new portal, as we said, it's using the artificial intelligence that they're using, they're making faster decisions, but at the same time, a lot of those decisions are not really justified. People are getting very generic refusal reasons, the purpose of travel, ties to Canada. Those are the reasons being given. They don't make sense in a lot of cases. If you feel you're one of those people who has got a decision on their visit visa application which you feel is not justified, which doesn't make sense, first thing that you should do is obviously apply for the ATIP notes or GCMS notes so that you can understand what exactly went wrong with your application, because the officer would indicate what was their concern. Using that, if you are still within the 30 days period of time, do apply for reconsideration of your decision, highlighting what documentation, what information you had provided in your application, which was not considered, and yet the visa officer made a decision contrary to what information you have already provided. Okay, do that. And if it is still not considered, and if you still think you did provide everything and you still have a very good travel history, good finances, everything, then you may want to consider consulting an immigration lawyer who can then take your application to the federal court for a judicial review and challenge that decision of the visa officer. IRCC is counting on the fact that most people will not challenge the decisions. They're counting on the fact that most people are unaware. They will not sort of do anything about it. You have a negative decision, well, you go back and reapply. People will reapply, and if you do not make any substantial changes, significant changes from your first application, you will get the same decision. So unless you make these changes, or unless there is a reason for you to reapply by providing additional documents or additional information, then you will get the same reason. But if you think something is wrong in the decision, challenge it, and you will see that you may have a better chance of getting a reverse decision or an approval there. So that is what I have for you for visit visa applications. International students in Canada. If you all remember that there was the mandate letter that the immigration minister got earlier late last year, and that basically indicated that the immigration minister should introduce or look at ways of expanding the pathways in the express entry system, where international students and foreign workers would be invited or would be given a pathway for permanent residence. Now, Sean Fraser has come out and said that they are looking at making a program, or finalizing a program for international students. So if you are an international student and you're currently in Canada, there is no TR to PR. That's one thing I can assure you. There is no TR to PR program coming in. But what is going to come in, or rather what is anticipated to come in, or expected to come in, because it is mentioned in the mandate letter, is a program within the express entry system. Okay, now within the express entry system, you can expect to see some new pathway. We do not know the details of it. We do not have any format. We do not have any criteria, requirements, nothing. All that we know is that it's going to come. So as an international student, you will be wise, you will be smart if you have things in order, handy. If you wish, and if you're not planning to go back to your home country, then apply for the police clearance and keep it handy, because it is taking time to get a police clearance ready. So get that done. If you still haven't appeared for your IELTS, make sure, or French language exam, then make sure you get that done and get it out of the way and have that ready, because IELTS, or rather the language exam, will always be a criteria for any immigration application, because the anticipation is that it is going to be within the express entry. Therefore, make sure that you are eligible in express entry. Basically, you should have other factors that also make you eligible. If you are working outside Canada, make sure you have your employment documents all ready to go. So as an international student, just be aware that there would be something in the horizon coming up sometime very, very soon. Okay, we got this done. We got this, just checking off things that I wanted to talk to you about. Right, that's basically it. That's more or less what I wanted to talk to you about. And the draws, of course, express entry draws. As you also know, IRCC, or rather Sean Fraser, had come out and said that they were working on resuming the draws, and he mentioned CEC draws, while he also did indicate that he does not want to hold back and not resume FSW draws, but the initial indication given was for CEC draws, so that could be a possibility to start with. But very soon to follow, I expect federal skilled worker draws will also start. The inventories or the backlogs at this point of time for express entry for CEC is roughly 10,000 people. For federal skilled worker, it is roughly 41,000 people, and this was as of few weeks back. So with the processing times now hopefully improving, and you will see more passport requests coming through, you expect the numbers to basically drop further, the backlog numbers, and by that you should be able to expect that the draws will resume. And considering the fact that they mentioned spring as the period of as the season when they would want to start, or the period of time of this year when they would want to resume the draws, so the fingers are crossed. We are already in the spring season, and would be we will be in the spring season for at least a month or so more. So let's see when that draws happen, but the expectation is sometime towards the month of April or May, because that is again the season of spring. I'm sort of hoping April for the draws to start. I don't expect the numbers of the invitations to be very big to start with, but I'm hoping that those numbers would sort of grow in terms of ITS per draw, and then the scores can start dwindling down. But to start with, the draw size, or rather the scores, are going to be very high, whether it is CEC or whether it is all program. And with this high draws, it's going to be a bit of struggle or challenge for a lot of people. But if you have PNP options, then you must take them. That's it. That's all I have in terms of what I want to talk to you about this week's roundup. If you're still with us, please do smash the like button on the video so we can have this video amplify and reach out to more people, number one. And number two, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then please, then you have to hit the subscribe button and subscribe to the channel, because that would help us see the numbers going up. And if you want to make an appointment with me one-on-one to sort of discuss your questions, queries, profiles, etc., then that is the link. Book an appointment, and then we can talk to you about your particular situation one-on-one. Okay, let's see the questions. Okay, plenty of questions there. Let's start from the beginning. I mentioned university, not institute, where I studied. Shall I mention both in education in Schedule A form? Rswp has university only. Should I provide LOA for personal history and education? Well, the requirement in an application is for you to disclose all the information truthfully and correctly. So if you have skipped some information earlier, please do make sure you mention it in the personal activities, because it will not make any difference in your points at all. Thank you, sir, from the bottom of my heart for all the advice you gave and for making us Kubeir group. Thank you. Thank you for being part of the group. Can we apply for Bridge Open Work Permit if we have an invitation from Quebec's Rswp program? My Rswp application is in deposit status, no clear instructions. Well, unfortunately, you cannot. Bridge Open Work Permit is restricted to people whose intention is not to live in Quebec. And by applying for a program under Quebec, you would then be under the Quebec skilled worker program. But then let's take a look at, because there was expected to be some changes. I'm not sure if that has already happened. Oh, okay, there has been happened. Hold on, let me sort of bring this up. Okay, so this is what it says. If you applied for permanent residence as a Quebec skilled worker, to be eligible for BOWP, you must live in Canada, intend to live in Quebec. You can leave Canada when we process your application. If you leave, you can't work until your application is approved. Hold a CSQ. Well, there you go. That is the answer. That is what I was expecting and hoping to see, because earlier you could not apply for Bridge Open Work Permit if you were applying under a Quebec program. But this was the addition which we were expecting, and that was the reason I wanted to check with online while I was answering your question, and thankfully I did, instead of giving you a wrong answer. But yes, there you go. That is the information available on the IRCC website as well. If you have applied under the Quebec immigration program, you can now apply for your Bridge Open Work Permit. Okay, there you go. That's the information available on the IRCC website. Usually, most of the information that you are seeking is actually available on the IRCC website. All you got to do is type and then search. Okay. Do you know if anybody got selected by New Brunswick in recent finance and admin stream? Well, it is too early. No, so I mean, just couple of weeks back, did we make that? We announced that pathway, or rather, not we announced, but we basically introduced the information to that pathway. And I don't expect very quick decisions happening or quick selections happening. What would happen first is that they would reach out to the individual profiles who they are interested in. They would then probably be contacted by the employer. There might be some exchange back and forth. You might be required to provide some additional forms, documents, etc. And once they are interested, they will send a notification of interest, based on which you will then be able to apply for the nomination to the New Brunswick. Can you talk more about the new processing times recently announced? Well, we did talk about that in detail, yes. Can you shed some lights on comments by Sean Fraser stating processing is completed for 1.5 lakh applications? How long before all FSW are cleared? Well, we did talk about Sean Fraser's comments. 147,000 applications, not applications. They made decision for 147,000 permanent residents. Whether it was approved, rejected, we don't know, but most of them, I'm sure, would have got a positive decision. As far as FSW is concerned, at the last check, 41,000 people were in the backlog of FSW pool, and with the speed that they were processing those applications, you would expect all FSW, if they maintain the same speed, to be cleared between 6 to 8 months at most. I don't expect it to take that long either for them. So unless there is complexity in your application, there is some real issues in your application, I would expect all FSW outlined applications to be processed and cleared within the next 6 months. So that is again my expectation. International student planning to arrive this month. When I'm filling the ArriveCan app, can I include my mother in the same application that I'm submitting? She will be accompanying me to Canada. Yes, of course you can. There is no problem with that. I mean, in the ArriveCan, it will ask you add traveler, and you can add the traveler, and you can add your mother's information as well. Okay, created e-profile under CEC. I'm waiting for invitation, but my work permit expires in 7 months. Any chances or options for me? I mean, I just mentioned that they are looking to reinitiate the CEC draws. Hopefully, they said spring. So whether it's this month or next month, we will know about it very soon. Depending on your score, you may or may not receive an invitation sometime soon. So if you have a option, or if you have a provision, or if you have a room to improve your scores, then do that. Okay. There is also a lot of talk that IRCC is looking at ways of giving a provision to people to extend their work permits. So that may also happen. Again, we do not know the details at this point of time. We are keeping fingers crossed to hear some more information about that as well. Received a request for re-medical after 2 years. It's done last week. I even informed IRCC about my marriage, but no docs asked yet from them. What can I expect next and when? Well, if you haven't received any information from them, then send it to them again in 2 weeks or 3 weeks time. My suggestion to you would be to actually add, and let me make one and tell you what you can do. Add these forms, okay? There you go. So add these forms, prepare these forms. These are the 4 forms that you should prepare for your spouse who you are adding. In addition to these 4 forms, also add 2 forms from yourself being the primary applicant. So you will be 0008 and 5406. So add these forms, complete these forms, add these forms, provide your spouse's police clearance, birth certificate, pay the fee online for your spouse's application. That would be 1,325, which would be your application fee of 825, your biometric fee of 85 if you haven't completed biometrics earlier, and your RPRF fee of 500. Pay the fee, complete the medicals, complete the police clearance, complete the and add the birth certificate. In addition to that, prepare a letter of explanation, write a whole timeline of your relationship, explain how you met. Did you know each other? How did the marriage happen? Were there any prevailing circumstances? Arranged marriage, love marriage? Where did you meet? What happened during the ceremony? Who all attended it? What happened after it? Etc. etc. Give your all this information and upload it using the web form. Okay, and hopefully they will start the processing using these forms from your application. Okay, all the best and congratulations. Waiting since last weekend for you. Okay, thank you. Thanks for the visitors visa topic from Kenya. Please advise more on visitors visa. I did talk about the visitor visa application. It is the same no matter from which country you apply. Okay, Mohit Verma says, can I show my friend as connection to Alberta? He used to live for 3 4 years, now living in Brampton. He has a property. No, unfortunately, friend in Alberta doesn't really make any difference. I mean, people can have so many friends in Alberta. That does not, unfortunately, give you any benefit in your application. Hi, Yusuf. Nice to meet you, man. Kinjal says, any chance of receiving FSW invitation in 478? We don't know at this point of time because there have been no draws. Because there is no draws, I mean, we can only speculate, right? The expectation is that the draws will resume, but how many invitations they will issue is going to decide how soon the scores will keep, or rather will drop. CEC, well, we did speak about CEC. Okay. Ketaki, thank you for the super chat. My US visa application was rejected approximately 10 to 15 years ago, but I applied again 3 years back and it was approved. Should I mention rejection in IT application? Absolutely, yes. They are not asking you if it was approved and if it was refused and then approved, don't mention it. They are simply, the question is, have you ever been refused a visa? That's the question. Okay. Have you ever been denied a visa? Have you been denied an entry? The question is very simple and clear. Therefore, please answer the question truthfully. If you've had previous refusal, even if it was approved later on, it doesn't matter. Make sure you do disclose the refusals correctly in your application. How does AIP work in New Brunswick? Will there be a draw or rollover? Like if eligible, you will get it. No, there is no draw and there is no rollover. If you are eligible, you apply. That's the criteria. First, you get an employment offer letter. Your employer will apply for endorsement of the offer letter. Then you take that endorsement, provide your documentation, and you apply for PR. You can also apply for work permit if you're eligible. I applied for PR through non-EEPNP. I have received AOR yet. I have yet to receive AOR. My work permit is about to expire. Can I use nominatal letter only to apply for BOWP? Unfortunately not. You need your AOR to apply for Bridge Open Work Permit. I applied for SOWP in October. Now they've asked for my wife's NOC-B employment letter with 3 pay slips. She got her 3rd pay slip yesterday, so we are going to upload. How long should I expect the result? I can't really tell you, but the fact that they have asked you for document, it basically means that they would be looking to finalize your application soon. So my expectation would be probably within 3 to 6 weeks that you should be able to receive your decision. October PNP, what processing time should I expect? Well, please check the IRCC website for processing times and follow that. If you provide gift deed for proof of funds in Ontario, then 6 months have passed when you receive ITA. Can you not upload gift deed when submitting documents post ITA? I'm not sure I understand your question. The idea for you is that if you're providing 6 months statements and any deposits have been made in your account for the last 6 months, then you should be able to provide proof and source that those funds belong to you. If it is a gift, then provide gift deed. If the funds were deposited into your account earlier than 6 months, then you don't need to provide anything. PCC from district police station acceptable from India if appointment from passport office is available after 3 months. It is acceptable. However, I would not usually recommend it because there could be some jurisdiction conditions that apply with the police clearance. So please do check the CIC website to see what is acceptable, what is not. If you have only lived in that single state, in the single city, then you probably may use the PCC from the district police station. But do please check the IRCC website before you do that. When applying for recognized organization work permit, what are the knacks to increase the success rate? Well, first of all, be from a country where they are inviting applications. And number 2 is for you to be able to network with an individual who is in a position who can provide a support letter for your application. So if you network with that individual and they are able to put in a word for you and the organization then gives you a support letter, you will then be able to apply for a work permit. My work permit expires in 12 months with no draws in present scenario of immigration. What could be the resolution for people like me before it's too late? Well, 12 months is a long time. Okay. So with such a long time, think there would be, I'm sure there would be some resolution by the time it comes to that 12 months. So yeah, and at this point of time, as I said, I'm sure there are a lot of things being there are a lot of things in the work. Hopefully you would have something much before your work permit expires. Okay, can you shed some light on security check for PR? Are files processed in batch? Do past visa refusals delay processing? Well, past visa refusals, depending on the reason for the refusals, could affect the application processing. Are the files processed in batches? Well, the passport requests are processed in batches. Otherwise, the files are processed based on the processing queue, as in how it comes up. As far as the security checks are concerned, different agencies, different international and local agencies are involved in completing the security check. You will be checked for your criminality. You will be checked for security in terms of if you have been involved in any kind of organized crime, human rights violations, or if you are a person who might be involved with anything of this matter as well, whether you're working for an organization which was linked, whether you come from or you were involved in a certain scenario where you could be possibly linked to any of these activities, then all of that will impact your application security. Can we get invite via international mobility program? There are these lot of this YouTube videos which have been confusing people about this IMP. International mobility program is a very, very big program. It's not a program in the sense like it's a big umbrella under which so many different programs come. It is not a PR program to start with. It's a work permit program, and it is work permit programs whereby people of certain nationalities can apply for work permit based on the intra-country agreements. Then all the postgraduate work permits, open work permits, are also under the international mobility programs. Spouses who get open work permits, that also comes under the international mobility program. So you cannot just go ahead and apply for an international mobility program. There are several eligibility factors. You will need to check that, my friend. My work permit expires in 12 months with no CEC draws. We just did this. Applied for PR through non-EPA. Okay, lots of questions coming up again. Okay, why are we seeing only Ottawa processing FSW applications, whereas other visas are, this is a very subjective thing. Because you are seeing certain applications from Ottawa doesn't mean everybody else is not processing, because just because you are seeing only Ottawa. Maybe other people are not talking about it. Earlier, there were a lot of New Delhi visa offices which were being processed. Then there were London visa offices which were being processed. And a lot of people don't even know their visa offices. So on what basis are you making that comment and saying only Ottawa is processing FSW application? I mean, where is it coming from? Where is the data to sort of support only Ottawa is processing? Just because you have seen few PPR messages and say, okay, Ottawa, as I said, most people don't even know what their visa offices is, right? A lot of people don't check, a lot of people don't know. That is number one. Number two, even if they know, there could be a primary visa office, there could be a secondary visa office, okay? Then there could also be the workload distribution. So yeah, application will be processed when they have to be processed. Instead of thinking that this visa office is processing, that visa office is sleeping, this visa is a snail's pace, it doesn't sort of work like that. They will process. They don't have anything against the applicants. I mean, if the visa offices have something against the applicants, then they probably should not be the visa office at all. They should probably shut down and go back to sleep or something, right? They are there for a purpose. They are doing what they're supposed to do. They have their job. They have been told what they're required to do. Their expectation is. And whether you like it or not, they will continue doing based on what their expectation, their requirement, their KPIs, and their objectives and competencies are. Gift deed from father is acceptable in PNP application? Yes, of course it is. Gift deeds from father, of course it is acceptable. Again, depends on the PNP. Some PNPs do not accept gift deeds at all. For example, Saskatchewan. So please make sure you check the province's requirements as well. Okay, still a lot of applications which are same. Why CEC Outland is taking time? I can't tell you why CEC Outland is taking time, because you are CEC, but you are not in Canada. There was no need to process your application faster, because same kind of travel restrictions would have applied to you earlier in the past. Now, basically, you are being processed as a person who's outside Canada. So Just because you are a CEC does not give you that added advantage of being processed faster. The fact that you're outside Canada, your application will be processed by a visa post visa office outside Canada, possibly, or if it is even if it is being processed inside Canada, at the time of finalizing your application, it will still need to be sent for passport request and visa stamping. So it would take its time, just like a regular other FSW application would take. But there is no specific criteria which says why is this category taking more time. Okay, applied through. All right, same question. All right. Okay, lots of same questions coming up again. Therefore, we will just do last few questions and then we move on. Vishwanath, thank you for the super chat. There is no question there. What would be the CRS score after the resumption? Well, 500 plus, definitely, for sure. Post AOR marriage, spouse added was asked for ADR, one for me, one for spouse. Do we submit two forms or glitch? Also ask question for me and spouse. No, it's not a glitch. You need to add IMM 0008 from your side. Your spouse needs to complete IMM 0008 from their side. Two separate IMM 0008 forms and two separate questionnaires, both to be completed from individual perspective. So you will complete from your perspective, your spouse will complete from their perspective. There is no glitch. You need to provide that. Why does NDVO not work properly? They never answer calls. They have also got, when my medical center submitted it, they keep giving generic reply. If all they will do is reply to your kind of questions, then they will never get around to doing the work that they're supposed to be doing. It is your thinking that, they already have a call center. So call that call center, right? There are so many people who, once they complete their medicals, they will send emails to everybody randomly. Whatever email address they can see from CIC website, they will send an email to them. You are creating more backlogs. Now you have completed your medicals. Just have patience. Just wait it out. You have waited for so long. Now that you know that you have received a medical request, just wait for them to process your application. By your calling them, nothing is going to happen. By your sending emails, nothing is going to happen. So you've submitted your application, you've got your ADR, you've completed your medical request. Just wait. I'm an inline applicant, 423, 1 year CC. Should I go for PNP? Can I give IELTS again? If you can give IELTS again, you can improve your score. You should most definitely do that. Meanwhile, if you have an option with a PNP, then most definitely go ahead and do it. Wife is already in Canada, applied for open work permit, reapplied in Jan on new portal. Medicine open work permit doesn't have a new portal. At least I have not seen it, so I'm not sure which new portal you applied for an open work permit. Medical and biometric updated, but still no update on application. Any idea on the timeline? Well, open work permit application timelines are in excess of 14 to 16 months. Hopefully, we are expecting them to get back onto some processing timelines there. And once that happens, you should be able to get your decision as well. Okay. Yeah, you see, same questions again. Sandy, thank you for your super chat. After RFP, can issuance of COPR be doubtful? If so, explain reasons. Explain. Yes, of course, it can be. You are not a permanent resident. You have not been approved as a permanent resident unless you land in Canada and the border officer accepts you and signs your COPR. Until such time, anything and everything, God forbid, can go wrong. At the time after your RFP has been issued and you're being issued with your COPR, if they identify anything about your application, about you, about in your final background check, if there is a concern, if they notice something in your passport which you did not disclose, declare, all of this could be a concern. Again, we're seeing the same question. I think we did put in a okay. When can we expect an Ontario tech draw? Well, I hope so soon. Nothing happened in the month of March, so the expectation is they should have one soon. But yeah, there is no way to estimate or guesstimate when would be the next draw. I'm waiting for a decision on FSW PNP applications for 15 months. Now, if I apply for a visit visa, it gets rejected. Will it affect my application? No, it will not affect your PR application for sure. No problem. Okay. If NOC can bring the spouse after 3 months, unfortunately, no. You need to be NOC 0 A or B in order to apply for an open work permit for your spouse. How much does for reconsideration request? It was a fault of visa officer. He didn't check the said documents. It happened in December. I'm not sure what you're asking me, but if you're applying for reconsideration, you should apply within no later than 30 days after the decision has been rendered, and they can take anywhere from 1 to 3 months to come back and give you a decision on the reconsideration request. Priyanka, thank you. In India, knock 1111 finance fiance is BC eligible for 3 year, applied NB, exploring study options. Please guide the best option. On this platform, I cannot guide you any best options or whatever. If you have a way, your fiance is in BC eligible for a 3 year work permit, well, then your fiance, once he gets a postgraduate work permit, once you get married, then obviously then several options open up. But keep looking for PNP options. If you're eligible in something, then apply it. Is Toronto going under lockdown again? Well, if you have news, then please do share, because I haven't heard of such lockdown. On the contrary, the mask mandate is out and things are all going back to normal, at least the way I see it. Waiting for my PR decision, now thinking of applying for a visit visa to give myself a head start in understanding the better culture. Will refusal and visit visa cause the problem? No, there is no problem in a visit visa refusal. Tanzeen from Bangladesh, application got approved 1st April 2020. Thanks for your support. Well, that's great. Excellent news. Congratulations. It's always nice to see somebody getting a passport request or the approval. That's always nice. Little Explorer, thank you for the super chat. No question there. Since tech pathways require a valid job offer, for example, in Alberta, even if I indicated proof of amount during EE profile creation, is it still required to show proof of fund pre or post ITA? Yes, absolutely, because the requirement is totally different for IRCC. IRCC says if you have a valid job offer, okay, Alberta doesn't have a problem with it. The valid job offer basically means you should have a job offer which is supported with an LMIA, or if you are an intra-company transfer, then you should have completed at least 1 year. But if you have completed 1 year, then you would be Canadian experience class, then you don't need proof of funds. But if you are any other, if you're a non-Canadian experience class, then you definitely need a valid job offer in order to be exempt from proof of funds. And valid job offer basically means, in your case, would be LMIA. If you don't have LMIA, then it is not considered as a valid job offer. If we don't have any contacts in Canada at the time of landing, what address could we give in order to receive the PR card? Well, you could avail of a mailing service from UPS or the similar of that kinds, and you could have the PR card delivered to that address. Once you come to Canada, you can pick that up. Or you can always tell the visa officer that you don't have an address at this point of time, and they would then leave it open. Once you reach Canada, once you have an address, update IRCC using the web form or the address change form and let them know your new address so that they can issue your PR card and send it to you there. You're doing a marvelous job. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. How much time does it take for reconsideration? It can take anywhere up to 3 months. Okay. Quite a lot of similar questions. We're skipping that. Super chat question was, is this mandatory to have 6 months old funds? What if we, as soon we get ITA, get father deed for entire proof of funds, which will be like 1 month old? Would that be acceptable? Yes, it is acceptable. The idea is if the funds are coming to your account within the last 6 months, so the funds that are contributing to your proof of funds that have been deposited to your account within the last 6 months, then you need to prove that these funds belong to you. It cannot be that the funds belong to somebody else or you have taken a loan. And so basically the requirement is that the funds are free of any liens, cannot be a loan, cannot be taken as loan, have to be unencumbered. So that is what the requirement is. So in order to prove that these funds belong to you and they were gifted to you, you will provide a gift deed. And it's absolutely fine if the funds came even 1 day before you submit your application, as long as you provide where the funds have come from. Any updates on the New Brunswick draw for the PNP program? Well, it's too early. I explained that already. It's too early for something of that sort to come. Just to let you know that that stream, that link has now been deactivated because they have got more than 20,000 or 25,000 people who submitted their interests on that. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be very optimistic for a lot of you who applied under New Brunswick just because of the sheer number of people who actually applied. I mean, they're really overwhelmed with the number of applications or people who applied. So yeah, I mean, unless you have a connection to New Brunswick, in most cases, most of you may not get anything from there at this point of time, simply because of the number of people who did apply for that. If they hold an FSW draw soon, will these timelines apply to them also, or will they have a 6-month processing time? As the letter indicated, FSW will resume in 2022 only once the processing time decreases. I actually did explain that in detail if you had joined us earlier. The understanding is that if there are any invitations issued this year for express entry, then those people will get their applications processed only towards the end of this year or next year, so that they can count towards the landing targets for the next year. Because this year's targets have already been, or rather people are already in the backlog to comply, or rather to complete with this year's target. So no, they are absolutely looking at ways to come back to the pre-pandemic level. So people who will be submitting their applications now for express entry, they would see a much faster processing time. Please tell about the validity of PCC if done during the stay in Canada. Well, if you apply for a PCC which is not your country of residence, then you must apply for the PCC from outside that country so that it covers the entire duration of your stay. And that police clearance will remain valid until you return back to that country. Can work permit be extended without Lmia? No, unfortunately, postgraduate work permit is a once-in-a-lifetime event. And once you have received it, you cannot get it extended, unfortunately. Nitu, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I apologize for that, but unfortunately, there is no question there. RFP email comes only from CIO or from other offices. It can come from any processing office. I mean, absolutely any processing office. So there is no problem with that. Okay. All right. Last question. Can I keep working for an Indian employer while pursuing my 2-year course in Canada on a student visa? My company would allow me to work from home for the next 2 to 3 years. Any issue in port of entry? No, absolutely not. As long as you are not part of the Canadian labor market, that's fine. You can work from home. You can work for an employer in India. There is no problem whatsoever. Make sure you do disclose that in your personal history when you're completing your application. A small spelling mistake in primary applicant spouse's surname affect PR. Every other details are fine. Only letter A is missing. Well, it can create an issue because everything will be processed with that A missing. Okay. And your PR card will be with the A missing. Your SIN will have a problem. Everything will have a problem. So you must make sure that this A, whatever that mistake is, it is corrected. Because if not, then every time you will sort of travel in future, or whenever you do travel, it will always create an issue for you. Okay. Can one student visa be used for 2 courses in different colleges within the validity and then the extension can be applied? No. If you have already got your student visa approved for one program, it could be for any program. If you are now choosing to apply another program, then you must apply for extension. It's extremely important. And that's what you will need to do. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining in, everybody. As I said, please do subscribe to the channel. We want to see those numbers growing up. And hopefully now that I'm back with all my rigor and energy levels up, I would be releasing many more YouTube videos there are so many factors that we haven't covered in today's video and which we will be covering as we go towards this whole week. There's a few more videos to sort of upload and once I've completed the editing. And so, please do subscribe to the channel. It's nice to see those numbers going up. And if you want to make an appointment, then this is the link. Please feel free to check this link and make an appointment with us. And if you're still not following us on Instagram, then that is the link. Please do follow us on Instagram. You want to see those numbers going up as well. Thank you very much for joining in. I appreciate it. I wish you all the best. Stay safe. Take care. And I shall see you next time.